Hello, beautiful. Welcome back to Polished in Portland. I'm Christy, and today I'm going to be showing you how I did this alluring Valentine's Day set. We kind of decided what was going on what finger as we were going, so join us on this journey. So the first thing that I want to do here is give her options of colors. There's two reds, Bad Romance and Ready and Willing. She went with Ready and Willing, so that is the first color, and then Blackout, and then Jingle. The first thing we're going to do, obviously, is go ahead and apply 2 coats of each color to the appropriate nails. Like I said earlier, we kind of just decided as we were going what was going to go where. We didn't really have like a predetermined way that this set was going to play out. We just knew the concepts that were going into it. So I knew we wanted a glitter and some black and some red, and I knew we were going to do some roses somewhere. So as I'm going, I just asked her, which one do you want this one on? Which one do you want the roses on? And she would tell me which finger she wanted. So here I am just applying the first coat of each of those colors, and then we'll get into the art. So just a little tip for some nail techs that might be looking for ways to improve timing in your services is always work through all through 10 fingers with one tool or product. So what I mean by that is if you're doing different colors on each nail, or 3 colors in this instance, do all of your nails that are black first, then your red, then your glitter. That way you're not wasting any time setting down and picking up a bottle in between each nail. So now we're going to go ahead and get into the art. I'm going to lay down the red that I want to use. The first thing I'm doing is using this bloom gel to create the bloom rose. So bloom gel, you want to lay down only where you're trying to get the gel to expand to. So wet is attracted to wet, so we're only going to lay down the bloom gel in the black because I don't want it to go into that negative space. Now I'm using a fine detail brush with a solid amount of gel on the tip of my brush, and I'm creating my shape. So I do the center first, and if you notice, I'm wiping my brush on my palette, that glass tile, in between each petal that I'm creating. That's because as I drag it through the bloom gel, I don't want to be applying more bloom gel into the next stroke that I make of the flower. So wiping that off is very important, and also being sure you have enough on your brush to create an impact with the color. If you don't have enough on your brush, it's going to bloom out and you're going to lose a lot of detail. So just use enough on your brush, create your shape, and give it a second to bloom to how you, whenever you're happy with it basically. And then cure that. So now we are moving on to the full nail. This full nail has 2 bloom roses on it, so we're going to go ahead and put bloom gel on the entire nail. You want to be sure you're applying the bloom gel super thin and not too thick so it doesn't cause any weird rippling and a weird line of light. So with this, again, you're going to be, for each stroke you're doing with your color, wipe it off in between so you're not transferring any bloom gel into the next stroke of your color. So I finished the top one there. Now I'm going to move on to the bottom, and they should bloom into each other fairly seamlessly without looking like one was pushed against another. So just follow your design all the way through and then cure that for a full 60 seconds. So that mixture is just a little bit of the Blanc gel pod and the Ready and Willing, and I'm just using my number 2 detail brush to go through and create little highlights along the edges of those rose petals, I guess you could say. And you don't want them to be perfect because nothing in nature is perfect. So giving them some depth with kind of some squiggly lines will really make it pop. So now we are applying the foil gel. Again, you want a super thin layer for this. On each nail you apply it and then cure for 60 seconds. Once it's cured, you just take your foil and press it firmly against the nail with your thumb. If you want full coverage, you can press it against your nail and use the silicone tool, but for now we just want it to be spotted. Then we're going to cover it with Luxa base that ensures that nothing chips. So when you're doing this, be sure you're capping your free edge just like that. One thing to note when you're using additive layers for things like foils, chromes, anything like bloom gel, always add a base layer on top of that because it will ensure that you have minimal chipping, and be sure to cap your free edges as well. So here's my favorite part of nails ever, crystals. First thing I'm going to do is apply that thin layer of base gel, and then I'm going to grab some of these caviar beads with my detail brush. I dip it into a little bit of gel, dip it into the beads, and mix it with some gel. We're going to use the crystal katana to pick up some gems, and I want to outline this crystal with these little caviar beads. So I'm using just the tip of my brush to pick them up off of the palette, whatever palette you're using. And then I also use it to move the caviar beads around because it's got the tiniest little point and they move around so easily. It's best to have something that is real small to be able to move those around to get them exactly where you want them. And my curly hair in the frame again. So now I'm going to pick up some more to fill in some gaps that I see around this one crystal. Then we just go ahead and move everything around to where you feel it's centered, and then add your other gems around it. This is just like a freehand crystal design. I don't have anything specific in mind. I just know I want it to frame the edge of that bloom rose. So go in with different sizes of gems and create it in an asymmetrical pattern. So add one to one side, one to the other side, and keep going until you have a design you like. Thankfully, the nice thing about this base gel that I use, the Luxa base gel, it isn't cured or hardened until you put it in the lamp, so you can move your gems around as much as you want, which is great. You can see here I didn't like where I placed that one, so I moved it to the other side. And I'd already put one on the other side, so I just removed the extra gem. So replaced it with some bigger ones, and then we're just going to fill that in with little caviar beads. The other thing you want to do that will really help your crystals stay on the nail is ensure with that tiny detail brush, whichever one you're using, that you are capping like the sides of the crystals. So if you look at it straight on down the barrel of the nail, you should see that the gel goes right up to the edge of the crystals. So that ensures proper adhesion. So now we're going in with a little bit of extra base gel. Now that all the caviar beads are placed and our gems are where we want them, you're just going to outline your design. This is just capping all of the edges of your gems and those caviar beads to be sure that nothing pops off super easy. So now that all of our crystals are cured in the base layer, we're going to go through with the velveteen matte and paint the rest of the body of the nail. I have placed a little bit of the velveteen matte on that palette, and then I'm going to go through with that detail brush again and just line the crystal designs with the matte, and then be sure I'm using my line of light to see that the velveteen matte that I've placed on the body of the nail is meeting up with the matte gel that I have placed against the crystal design. So you can use the line of light by kind of moving the nail up and down. And you just want to be sure that it is all smooth and cohesive. I definitely recommend doing your crystal nails when you're top coating, whether it be with shiny or matte top coat, that you do it one nail at a time. So that way you don't have anything leak from the nail onto the gems to give it any kind of weird effect. Okay, all of our crystals are on and top coated, so now we're just going to go through and top coat the rest of the nails with the appropriate top coat, whether that be shiny or matte. Some were shiny and some were matte, so get those top coated and then cure them, and then we're done. And here's our finished result. It's got just a little bit of everything in it, and it's such a fun Valentine's Day set. I hope you found some of this video helpful, and if you happen to create a set inspired by these, please be sure to tag me at Polished in Portland on both Instagram and Facebook. I'd really love to see your work. If you want to purchase any of the products I used in this video, links and discount codes will be in the description below. Thanks so much for joining me today. Please subscribe for more nail art videos, and I hope to see you next time.